So hi, Well the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Bree.
And Joey, and we're Cliffdiver.
And we're gonna have some questions to say about their upcoming album, Exercise Your Demons. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you guys feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been really good. It's I've never released an album before. I've always wanted to, so it's super exciting. And this is kind of our first. It's our first album, but it's also like our first album or release as kind of a full band that we wrote together and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really cool to see the response of people being like, I like this a lot, because you're always nervous before some new comes out, a new direction, and it's been great. Yeah, I mean it's really cool to see. We have great fans. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them, obviously. But it's been really cool. It's been fun to be a rock star, feel like a rock star.
Hell yeah.
Every once in a while.
The album's great, and congrats on the signing, by the way. That's fucking crazy. I was looking through their roster, like their alumni and shit. I'm like, holy fuck, you guys are in good company.
It's ridiculous. It's been pinch me moments, like here and there. We're working really hard on getting music videos together and all kinds of fun stuff that we're only now getting to start like announcing. But we have these moments where we stop in the middle of the storm and kind of look at each other. What? Like that, like craziness, and kind of just be like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe, like, just like disbelief.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So is there any meaning behind what happened?
I saw Spider. I had to get.
I respect it.
Release ethically outside.
I respect it.
Thank you. That was good.
Side One Dummy, super exciting though, because like there is so many great bands who've been on it and are currently on it, but also like the Vans Warped Tour compilations and stuff like that. So it's like albums that we all owned when we were younger, and it's kind of surreal. Like Bree said, it's just a crazy feeling.
Hell yeah,
for sure.
Sure.
It was a big spider. I'm sorry.
What, like, do you know what type of spider it was?
It was big.
It's just big.
I wouldn't have been able to concentrate if I had known it was just wandering around my house.
That's valid.
I totally got you. One time I stopped an interview to kill a spider that was on my wall, because if not, I was afraid it was going to like come get me in my sleep. So I was like, I got to take care of this now. Like,
it's a very real fear. I understand completely. That's what. There's a little excitement for everyone's day. I'm fine. I did not turn Spider-Man yet. We'll keep you updated.
Thank you.
All right. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
This is me pointing at Bree.
I was going to say.
Okay, so the Exercise Your Demons, the album title came later, and kind of started as a joke when we were joking about at our live performances, like leading people in exercises between songs. It started as just kind of like, wouldn't that be funny? And I don't even remember how we got there, but it was when it came about, it just so perfectly fit in with the story we were trying to tell with the album, which revolves a lot around sort of like addiction, grief, these things that we sort of like pick up in our lives and never sort of get rid of, but have to learn to live with, right? So you maybe can't exorcise the demons, you can't get rid of them, you can't cast them out, but you can learn how to train yourself, and you can learn discipline, and you can learn resilience, and so that's kind of where it started. And then the album cover is just kind of the play on the joke of the visual sort of, like a little boot camp in the in the foothills of rural California, just
where we're famously from,
of course,
rural California.
Of course.
Love that. So can you tell us?
It was a lot of fun. It's Bree nailed it. Yeah, well said.
Hell yeah.
Good job.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, it kind of started. It started before Bree was in the band. The very first song we wrote for it, which is track 5, called "Death Is a Wedding with Eternity," a real fun light song. That one is super chill, super fun vibes.
Not talking about anything serious,
yeah.
just a pop banger.
Nothing serious, just about this reoccurring nightmare I was having where I was being haunted by my deceased ex-girlfriend, who was telling me to kill myself to be with her.
Jesus.
And it was a
Okay.
nightmare I was having every single night during the pandemic, during lockdown. I was just like, I was texting Matt and I was like, man, I'm going to need you to write me something weird because we're going to get weird with the song. I got this thing that I just want to get out. And so we wrote this song, wrote the verses to this song. And I sent it to Bree because Bree has been a friend of mine for a couple of years. And I was like, check out this song. I'm super excited about it. And Bree actually responded like, oh my gosh, it's such a great song. Like, I can't believe I like know y'all. This song's incredible. And then like, it was funny later when we kind of fleshed it out and Bree brought in these other perspectives and wrote the chorus to that song. It was like, hey, that song, it's your song now too. And it was like a really like full circle moment.
That's cool.
And we kind of learned how to write together because it'd always been like me and Matt and our old bassist Dan who would write a lot of the lyrics. And now we have Bree and Gil, and it was her and Gil and Matt and I, and we just kind of got together and we're like, what do we want to talk about? So we had this idea for this dream, but what goes on everywhere else? And so we kind of landed together on this idea of this exploration of grief, of kind of what we do to deal with it before we actually deal with it. And then kind of what comes next is kind of the idea of, okay, so we don't want to die. We know that. So what do we do now? Because we didn't plan on making it past this point. So this was never like, I always planned on dying in my 30s. Like that was I knew I was going to do it, like late 20s, early 30s. Like, and then I almost died and I was like, oh no, I don't like that. That was not super cool. So it kind of has that inspiration of like anyone who's kind of dealt with, suicidal ideations or depression or any kind of mental illness for a long time can know that feels like a war. And sometimes you're just like, we have a line that's like, I'll admit I'm terrified to die. But just, I can't even remember now. I admit I'm terrified to die, but sometimes it just seems faster than another 30 years of pain. Just give me what comes after. And that's a really like strong, evocative emotion that I think anyone who's struggled for a long time can understand. And then when you've given up, you don't plan for the future. I know that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the second half is what do we do now? No, let's not sit in it. And Bree can fill in some of those gaps. It's just kind of an overarching how this writing process went, but it was super cool. For me, at least, it was awesome. It was a beautiful time.
Hell yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that song is a really good example of kind of the way that the collaboration went so seamlessly because they had their own process, like you said, before I walked in. So they kind of had to teach me how to get comfortable songwriting, even though I know this music and I knew the story we were telling. There was a lot of development that happened through just sort of that time together and telling those stories, like Joey said about, his fiance and kind of reeling with each other. Also, there was, there's another song on the album where, I was having just a really bad day and it started with us talking about it. And by the end of that night, we had written this song, this track 4 in like one night and it was over. So it all came out of relationship. It all came out of a commitment to like this story that we wanted to tell of like I said, just kind of that hope and that resilience, and it gets a little dark. It does.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How did like the writing process change for you guys, like by adding Bree into the mix?
Sure. I'd say, before Bree joined the band, it was like Matt wrote the music and then I kind of came up with the stories and then we'd figure out how to tell it together, like what lines worked best, what rhymes were too on the nose or too obvious. And, then Matt would be like, okay, how can we say that without it sounding like that? I'm like, exactly. Yeah. That's the question. So there was a lot of, I'd say, control on the narration, the narrative side of things that I had like full responsibility of. which, you know, I was starting to figure out and stuff like that. But when Bree joined, we wanted to make sure it wasn't a situation that she'd had in the past where it's like, you know, here's your song and here's how we want you to sing it and here's what it's about. And, you know, you sing it this way, but more of a like, let's tell these stories together. We wanted it to be a full collaboration. If we're going to be dual front people, then we need to write the songs. So it's not Bree singing my song or me singing Bree's song. They're Cliffdiver songs. And so it took a process of like, Matt and I had been doing this for 3 years at this point, or 2.5 years at this point, where we knew each other and we knew how safe like the writing. He's got a den kind of in his house where he does all the writing. It's where his computer is. We just demo everything out. And so like we already had this kind of feeling of this safe place. And so we brought Bree in and then brought Gil in. But, you know, first Bree was that like, there are no bad ideas here. Like there are no bad lines, there are no bad ideas, there are no bad suggestions, and there are no like egos or hurt feelings or anything like that. If a line gets changed or we go a different direction, it's whatever makes it best. And by coming together, you know, a lot of us, we could really expand on our perspective. And I think that was the most exciting spot was, you know, bringing an entirely different point of view to the table. And then that allows us to kind of fill in the gaps of where we can communicate to more people these kind of messages of hope and resilience. And so I think the biggest change of it was just, you know, rebuilding a new bond, like kind of like, it's like when you have, you know, more kids, it's like, you don't love the one kid less, but you find new different ways to love each subsequent kid. And so it's like, it was just it was an awesome thing. It took some time for us all to get to fully trust each other from a writing standpoint. But then when we did, you know, we were able to like, at the end of the album, there's this, in the single we're actually releasing at some point, our second single, there's this great big gang chant chorus, and Bree and I wrote it outside in like 5 minutes. Like Bree's like, okay, here's an idea. It's stuck in my head. How do we do this? And so we just sat down, phone in between us. We're like, okay. And then it just kind of all sorted itself. And that's been the best thing. It's like Bree and I think when our creative juices connect, when it's synergetic, it's just like, oh, there it is. Okay. Of course that's how it is. So it's been the best. I mean, I'm a better writer now because Bree's in the band 100%.
That's sick.
That's my take. Amazing. And you can take it from the outside too. I'm sure Bree has her own perspective on it. Joining people who already write together. So
no, I mean, it's easy when you have people who are sort of holding that space for you and aren't, you know, waiting for you to show up and perform. They were ready to like inspire me and sort of like be comfortable so that it could come out. So it's you know, you guys made it easy. So it blossomed, and now we have our beautiful little flower we're introducing to the world.
I love that.
And we just can't wait to write again. It's like we got to do all this tour stuff and then all this album stuff. And we're like, when can we start writing the new songs?
Put us in.
I want to do now.
Put us in the studio again, guys. Come on.
It's not even out yet, and I'm like, all right, LP2 vibes. Let's go. Let's be thinking. Let's write, because it's my favorite thing. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So I want you to tell us your favorite lyric off this album and the meaning behind it.
Ooh.
Okay.
Bree, you want to go first?
Because I know what mine is. It's actually the one that Joey was just referencing. We're getting ready to. I'm not sure when this airs or when
it'll be out after the single. Your publicist told us when the single's coming out.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So on Lost in IKEA, the outro, we were sitting in the studio and we didn't have an outro for this song and we knew it. And I could not stop thinking about it. And I'd run out of paper because I had so many bad ideas that just, you know, and I just have to write it out. I can't. And so I had resorted to coffee filters at this point where
oh my God,
you know, I could find. And I had written this line out on a coffee filter and I went to Joey and I was like, this needs to be in the song. And it's I'm on my way now. There's no place that I'd rather be. If I own this, nobody can take it from me. And so I guess for me, it's kind of like that idea of that hard decision to kind of like own your shit, you know, just kind of take responsibility, because at the end of the day, when you're having to go to sleep with yourself, when you're having to wake up with yourself, and at the end of the day, it's just you and the mirror, it's like, at least I'm owning all of this. And that is something no one can take, from you. And that is something you can build a foundation for change or for the rest of your life on. And so for me, that's my favorite thing that made it into the album and has like continued to speak to me.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's one of the ones that gets stuck in my head and that I do say quite a bit to myself whenever it's a particularly rough day. It's like, you know what, this is kind of where I am. And I think it's hard for me to pick a different lyric than that, just because it is so much of a mantra now, where it's like, if I'm having or I'm telling my story, I'll be like, but you know what, like, it's who I am and this is how I got here. And would I change some of my decisions? Sure, but everything's perfect in hindsight. So it's like, but you can't go back. Like, there's no use in feeling useless is another line from that song, where it's like, so much of the depression makes you want to sit in it and be constantly judged for your indecisions or your bad decisions or whatever you had to do to survive the worst times in your life. So we sit there and we have this feeling of just like being useless and like we cannot do anything to change things, or else we would have already done them. That was my line for forever. Mm-hmm. Don't you think I don't want to be this way? Don't you? This is just who I am. If I could be any other way, but I wasn't doing any of the things I needed to do in order to get better. I was just defiantly feeling useless. Like I was always going to be broken. And I think that can be addicting at times, because hope hurts a lot. And I found that to be true in this kind of album release cycle. Is like the anxiety attacks I get aren't about like, what if things go wrong? It's like, but what if things go right? And then they go wrong. Which is a whole new world. So like, my anxiety wants to do this paralyzing thing where it's like, you are useless. You cannot change this. You will sabotage it. You will do the things you always do. But I tell myself, you know what? That's not going to do any favors. So like, what can we do? What can we do now? What's the next thing? If we're not happy about this, what can we do? And like, for me, it was quitting drinking. Like that was what I needed to do in order to get to a place where I'd be around, you know? And it's been like 10 months now. And I'd say without the band and being able to ride out a lot of these kind of traumatic things about, relationships with alcohol and substances and grief, and being able to really transform the pain into something to help other people has been transformative. So, I mean, we're on our way now. There's no place that we'd rather be.
Hell yeah.
So it's a great time. There are a ton of other lyrics that are really close to my heart, but most of them are really sad and dark. So I want to share the message since the new single came out, it's all about hope. And so my favorite lyrics are hopeful.
Hell yeah. Love that energy.
Congratulations.
And the one about death earlier. I like that one a lot. And there's another one that's like, this bed used to be hallowed ground, but still your ghost, it lingers. I like that line a lot. I get to go full drama nerd in that song and just write a Shakespearean soliloquy about death. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Love that.
That's pretty good. I just want to say congratulations on 10 months, by the way. That's incredible. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, hell yeah.
It's the longest I've ever gone since I turned 19 probably. And I just I almost died a couple times, but the last time I went to band practice and I was like, I'm so hungover, I feel so disgusting, and I was like, I'm never drinking again. I'm tired of this, I'm tired of the whole thing. And my drummer Elliot was like, I've heard it before. Save it. I don't believe you. And then I just never did again out of spite. So I found that spite rather than self-perseverance is a powerful motivator for me. So.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I've used it a couple times. Yeah.
Now I can't ever drink because then Elliot would be like, I told you so.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't give him that satisfaction.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
You gotta win.
Yeah. Also changed my whole life, and now I'm not an insufferable anxiety monster at all times. So that's pretty cool too.
That's pretty cool
too.
To
win, so how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be the closer? Did you shuffle it around, see what fits? What was that process like?
Ooh, It bounced around a lot. I mean, we when we started deciding what songs are going to be on the album, it was just kind of like it was kind of like this self-aware moment where we realized that there was a story we were telling we didn't even realize we were, telling. So what kind of happened was we ended up with way too many starters of songs, demos, and kind of fleshed ideas halfway out, had like little living zombie yard of songs, and listened to them all together, and it kind of became apparent listening to the words that we had written and the message kind of behind it, that it kind of became obvious. There was, once we had gotten everything in place, there was not a lot of nitpicking or switching around at the last minute. I don't really think we tinkered with it at all. It was super obvious to us, but we didn't necessarily, I don't think, write any particular song to be an opener or closer. They just kind of became that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say, once we figured out kind of how we wanted to tell the story, and that it was a story to be told instead of, just a collection of songs, and we kind of experimented with that a little bit at Your Own Risk, kind of a story, but this one definitely is more, it's like the evolution of that, and that's what we want to present, is like, it's the things you liked about the EP, you like about Cliffdiver, but in a new way that's more fleshed out and I think more accessible, where we have a full album to develop kind of a story. And once we figured out, hey, I think this could help not only us, but other people, because once we kind of identified that grief is so universal, especially during the pandemic when we were writing it, during the height of some of the death and stuff like that, where we were just losing people all the time. It was like, man, there's a lot of people who are in a lot of pain right now, and some of them don't know how to deal with it, and they've never dealt with this kind of loss before. And I think, yeah, exactly. And so like, we just kind of felt like there was an opportunity to tell a story that could help people who maybe have never struggled with this kind of anxiety and depression that was brought on to people who may be more neurotypical and don't really have those same struggles. But some people were going through this kind of fear and grief for the first time. You could see it all the time on social media. People be like, I'm so tired all the time, and everything hurts, and I don't know what's going on. And it was like, all right, we all just need to find a moment where we can take a deep breath and go, yeah, we're all going through some bad stuff, but like we've been through some bad stuff before too. So every day that we thought was going to be the day that killed us, we've survived so far. And I think we, like people who have struggled, you have the choice of either becoming really callous and cynical towards people, or showing that empathy and saying, hey man, I know what it's like to feel this way. I remember the first time I had a panic attack. Like, here's the things you need to know. And I feel like a lot of that with this album gave us the opportunity to kind of be like, here's some of the things that we felt. And if you felt them too, just know that it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop at the bad moment. The best thing about bad days is they end. So, I mean, that's kind of, once we got that idea out, Bree said it perfectly. Just kind of all we're like, yeah, that's that song for that. Oh yeah, that song's for that. That makes sense. That how do we not write it like that? Because that's obviously what it's about. So it's like, it was really cool. It was just like, it was like an exploratory process during the writing process where we're like, oh, like we were being let in on a secret. We were like, oh wow, that's what we were trying to say.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome, right? So you guys kind of went into it a little bit earlier, but if you want, you could go a bit more in depth. Would you be able to tell us where your headspace was at while you were creating this record?
Yeah, well, I'd say not good.
Well, yeah.
To start with, I'd say we were in the process of like coming together as a band, but also like kind of having this realization that maybe we could actually take a swing at this thing on a higher level than we'd ever imagined, like at a professional level, which is what we wanted. So we were in the process of kind of trying to change, I think, who we were as people, to be getting to a place where we could rely on each other, and we could really invest time and trust into this. but at the same time, when you're trying to process a lot of long held emotions, you actually have to process them. I found, unfortunately, there's not another way through that. I haven't found yet. I've tried a lot of different ways. All of them seem to not have been great. So, so there's a lot of raw emotion in these songs, and there's a lot of accessing, I think, some darkness. So I think in the beginning it was pretty traumatic, and it's an extent of like recycling some of these feelings for me, especially when on track 4 and 5, which are about this kind of loss, this death. That was opening up a whole can of stuff, and I knew it was going to, and we were really intentional about it when we talked about it, and when we were planning it. It was like, these songs are going to hurt when we record them, because I think one thing we try and do is be authentic and vulnerable with that authenticity. Is you can earn people's trust, and they can listen when they can tell that, like, oh shit, this guy might do something stupid, because you can tell, and I think through that it became a healing process, but I don't think it was intentional from the beginning. I didn't think I knew it was where it was going to lead. So I think going into it was like, this is just going to be like anything else, and then we quickly found out it wasn't. And it was daunting at first, but that kind of brought us closer together. I think being able to say, hey, this is something I struggle with. Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I struggle with that too. I mean, I think that was really important for Brie and I, was getting to know each other in our past and being like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I think we're stronger as a unit, and when we come together and we're able to share without fear of judgment or rejection, which we're still getting better at, because we're human beings and we're not perfect all the time. Believe it or not,
sucks.
I know, crazy. Well, I mean, Matt does that sometimes, but that's what he's there for.
Yeah, of course, got to keep everyone in check.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So, I mean, that was my takeaway from it. What do you think, Brie? Where's your headspace at?
Oh,
I mean, I'm joining you all in the interview. I'm like, go on, Brie, tell me where you're at.
You just want my job? You're better at it.
No, you do a great job, Shane.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean, I think that you're right. It was a really lonely, dark time for everybody alive, period. And then specifically, I mean, because Joey, he got sober so after we had recorded the album and everything, and so he was still in the middle of his sort of turmoil at the end of it when it peaked. So not to speak for him, but that's kind of in the timeline where we were. And then even personally, I was going through a lot of things, and so it just so happens to be that things were coming to a head in our personal lives, Joey and I especially, amongst the band. And so I think it kind of created this reaction and this kind of new thing for Cliffdiver, which is kind of getting a little gritty, maybe. There was at one point we were writing a song, and I kind of stopped and was like, are we allowed to do this? Are we allowed to be this sad? This long, but that's kind of the point, is sitting with it and being comfortable with it and exploring it so that you can come out of it. So we didn't shy away from the dark parts of the struggle. We didn't, because it doesn't serve anybody. I'm a mom, and I've learned, it doesn't serve me to shy away from bad things or things that we perceive as negative emotions. Like, they can be the thing that makes you fertile soil for the next thing, or whatever. I don't know. So it's not great, but I think that that's good, because I think if you can't tell somebody that you've been stuck in the mud, then how are you going to give them advice on how to get out, or start to.
Yeah.
And she's right. It was very much like we had some stressful stuff happen in the studio, and then it was our natural reaction, I think, at the time, was just to party it away, especially for me. I mean, that was just the thing that was easy. It was accessible, and it was a quick serotonin and dopamine dump in my brain, where it was like, we can think about this later. And I went, oh, okay, cool. Let's not. focus on the real bad stuff right now. So yeah, Bree hit it on the head. It was I think by us being able to show where we've been and talk about these things, that we're able to get past them to an extent, and then start the next step, which is equally as hard, I think, because a lot of people, they languish in the down, but it's just as complicated when you're trying to stand back up. I mean, like trying to find ways to deal with all these old emotions. Almost like the other day, they're like, well, now you're not drinking. You have so many songs about drinking. What are you going to write about? And I was like, still mentally ill, so there'll be
plenty of content there.
So much going on, man.
Yeah, I was just playing the game on nightmare difficulty when I could just bump it down just to hard. I didn't have to always be one shot kill type situations, which for some reason I told my dad I was going to outdrink our genetic history of alcoholism, and I did not pass that one. So yeah, no. But it had to happen. It had to happen the way it did. And it was painful, and it's ugly, and it's messy, and it still is. But man, I've never been more hopeful in my entire life, probably. Yep. So that's the thing. That's when you deal with it, really deal with it, then you can move on to dealing with the thousands of other things that you have to deal with. So
yeah,
I'm excited for a new challenge, which is just being.
Like I know that everything was I know that everything was like very hard and ugly, but I think that it's very important that you guys kind of went through all of that together at the time while you were writing a record and everything, because it's like makes you guys that much stronger. Like, yeah, you guys are opening up about all your inner turmoil and shit, but then on top of that, you guys are experiencing crazy life events. It's like you guys are like this now. Like there's no breaking that. Like
we've been through quite a bit as a band, because there's 7 of us, so there's always room for extracurricular drama, which is just really just lack of communication, or people forming tribes within the tribe to
it's like high school again.
But we solved it. We got a D20 that we now roll, and whoever gets the highest roll makes decisions. So democracy dice.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
No one can claim it's unfair.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a party album, workout album? What do you guys personally recommend?
If it's up, Brie, go.
I was going to say, personally, and this is just me wanting everyone's attention because I love it so much, but it's like road trip. Like your parents live in the country, you got that hour to get out there, sun's going down. Like we've heard from the people who've heard it, it's kind of like the people who were like, I was on a long drive, my flight got canceled, so I had to rent a car. One person, it's kind of like, and then I got to like sit with it and listen to it and kind of, I don't know, like in a way that you can sit with it. I would say road trip music. That's me. What do you think, Joey?
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I think to really get into it, I think you got to listen to it twice. One time after you've read what all the songs are about, and then that one you listen to with headphones alone and with your black light on or something. I don't know. Consuming whatever's legal in your state, and just really dive into it and let it feel however it feels. And then I think it is an album that can be used for different things at different times. I think that sometimes it is very much a party album, and it can be, and we, with this album especially, don't want to tell anyone how it's supposed to make them feel, or like, this is what that song's about, you missed the point. Whatever you need it to be, kind of. Like, if you need it to be a road trip or a silent reflection night, like, I think there's space in it for it to be interpreted however you need it to be. So I don't think there's a wrong way to listen to it, as long as you do constantly and repetitively on Spotify, preferably, because that's what festivals track. So
get those streams up. Let's
that
go.
Would be,
of course.
All about those streams, man. Let's go. Let's get those monthlies.
Yeah.
up.
So if you guys could just put it on repeat when you're doing other things. No, I'm kidding.
Mhm.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
You guys got 7 people in the band. You guys could do that.
Exactly.
We could, but then it becomes super obvious. It's like, hey, you had one guy in Tulsa listen to this 7,000 times. No other city's done that. But that one guy, he's going through it. We did have this one guy who listened to Alone in Your Apartment, which is our current most depressing song. He listened to it like 97 times in a year. And I was like, bro,
You good?
have you
checked
gone
on
to
him?
therapy? Yeah, no, I do. I check on him quite a bit. I'm always like, hey, man,
Yeah.
you doing all right? I saw you posted some Cliffdiver lyrics today. You doing okay? I should have an instant ping system on Twitter. It's like, hey, you just posted a sad Cliffdiver song. You want to talk to somebody? We got
Yeah, you
people.
okay?
Yeah, we got 7 people in the band. You can talk to someone.
Exactly.
We are not mental health professionals. I do want to clarify that.
Yeah.
None of us
Yeah.
have a licensing or degree
Mhm.
or can fix your problems, or even results may vary upon individual listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but we are here. If you need help finding resources, if you are struggling, like, we'll help you find them. We'll help you get where you need to go, where someone can help you. Because I know
Mhm.
sometimes it's overwhelming to even get started.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're like, man, I could use some therapy, or maybe I could try some medicine or something, then, if you need help, we'll help you. We'll help you find somebody who can help you. So, while we're not professionals, we definitely are here for anyone who's struggling. You're not alone. And I think that could not be more our message than anything else. It's, you're not alone. We're here and we get it, and we won't judge you. Like, we know what it's like. So
Hell yeah.
You guys are gonna make me cry. I don't know. I'm sorry. But
I got you cry last time, Glory. So
it's true.
I didn't even remember that.
On the topic of first listens, I did want to ask you guys, how did you guys listen to the Masters for the first time when you got them?
I think in the van.
Van?
No, we listened to, usually on the way home from the studio, we'd listen to them in the van driving back to the studio, depending when it was in the thing. But when we got them all, like the first mixes back, we sat down, we had a speaker, and we all would take notes. And then that process was like all the notes on the master or on the mixes that we wanted to change.
Poor guy.
Oh no, it was a nightmare. There's 7 of us, and so oftentimes we would give completely contradicting notes in our meetings together. We'd be like, "Those cymbals are too loud." Then it'd be like, "We need more cymbals."
Yeah, turn the cymbals up.
True.
And then that's when eventually Matt, not me, I would never, but Matt would send forward his mixes and edit the other people's mixes, suggestions. I would never do something like that.
Oh,
Love that. That's great. That's a great way to fix
I would
things.
never. I personally have never done that.
Never?
never.
Well,
Not
I'm offended that you would imply that
That doesn't seem like something that Joey would do. I'm just saying. And like, look at him. Look at him right now. Listen to him. He would never do such a thing.
That's Matt.
Look at how flustered he's getting. He would never do that.
Himself, so it's obviously him.
Yeah, Matt.
You could never
Obviously.
engineer such a thing.
No.
I would
No.
never.
It's unthinkable.
Machiavelli who? I know, I've never heard of him. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was together. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think we all got pretty emotional at times when we were listening to it. We're like, wow, I didn't think it could sound that good. I mean, Seth Henderson at AVG really is an incredible producer. I mean, he hits you with ideas and you're like, I don't know if that'll work. And then you hear it later and you're like, of course it works. Like,
Yeah,
that's
of course.
so much better.
Mhm.
That's so much better than what we thought. Like, and that's why it's important to work with, people that understand what you're trying to do and not just people who are getting paid for it. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a message for young bands. Find someone who's passionate about your work, not just somebody who will give you a tag on Instagram when it comes out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Definitely.
Sure. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your heads, I want you two to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. 3 words each, no more, no less.
Who's gonna go first?
It's pretty good.
All right, take it.
Okay.
if you're still on the fence, it's
pretty good.
It's decent.
Is there a question mark at the end of that? It's pretty good.
It's more of like a dot. Like,
dot.
Really selling this album for me.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I don't know. I'll think of a better response.
Okay. So the album in 3 words.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna go with the first 3 that come to my mind.
Okay.
Or what I hope it accomplishes, I suppose, because I hope that it is accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that it is dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that it is inspiring.
Ooh.
And I mean that in a real tangible way. Like it's in all caps with spaces between the letters. Like, I mean, inspiring to action, inspiring to reach out and get help, inspiring to become a little bit more self-aware, inspiring to sit with some negative feelings, and like whatever that looks like. I think that it does inspire a lot of emotion. And so those are my 3. Done. Joey, go.
Those were perfect.
And it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
You didn't come up with anything else?
It's pretty good. You're still stuck on that.
I was listening to Bree and I was like, those are good words. Why didn't I use those words instead?
Those are pretty good.
It's
words.
pretty good.
I would say hopeful,
Okay.
challenging, emotionally, of course. That's in parentheses, not
That's
it's not a
good.
word.
Okay.
It's not a
okay.
word. And then I would say fun. I mean, it is a fun album. There's a lot of really great riffs and harmonies and stuff that we got really excited to start to dive into, which we're only going to become more so. We want to be basically the Beach Boys of easycore, with just layers and layers of harmony. You can quote me on that. I think that's a pretty good quote.
Beach Boys
no.
Music Core. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun in it. There's some really good moments that if you just like music, you'll be like, oh, that was kind of cool, you know. Like, I'm really excited. I think people are really gonna like it, especially kind of 3 through like 7 through 8. The songs that aren't gonna be singles are. It's just it's a ride, and I think that if you open yourself up, there's going to be some stuff in there that resonates. So those are my 700 words.
I was gonna say those
that.
were a lot of 3 words. Let's get it.
I was just being exponential on the. You got to use your math when you can. I don't know anything about math. I took college algebra 3 times, which should make me better at it. But
It's
Didn't work
okay.
out the
I
first
failed
3
algebra.
times.
There's
Yeah.
no shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Math is hard.
Yeah, it is.
hard.
Once they brought
I
in
wanna-
like letters, I was done for.
Done.
it.
I didn't even get the numbers yet. And
Yeah,
then
why are we
Fair
multiplying
enough.
letters? The letters have
Exactly.
no numerical
I
value.
thought this was numbers.
Imaginary.
That's how you know it went too far. They went
Exactly.
too far.
Yeah.
They went
Exactly.
too far. They got numbers and then imaginary letters, and you're like,
Z-axes
what? You're
and
just making
shit.
stuff up.
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
even get to that, Shane. I
Yeah.
didn't even get to see.
Find the cosine, and I'm like, I don't know what
The
my
cosine
sine is. I
doesn't
think it's
exist,
tangent.
asshole.
You already know it.
Yeah,
You tell me.
made it up.
Exactly.
to
Why am
find
I
it?
doing these?
Once again, solving your
You tell
problems
me.
for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I showed them, and I dropped out of college.
There you
after
go.
They kicked me out. So
Exactly.
That's pretty
I didn't
badass.
even-
It's badass.
Man.
Hell yeah.
I've been to
We showed
7
them.
colleges,
I showed them.
and I'm a sophomore in college, and I've been to 7 colleges. So that tells you, yeah, I like to drink.
Yeah. You're just telling people too.
Yeah. It's a good time.
So back to the record. Is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through this album?
Mhm.
I'd say, just some grace towards yourself while you're listening to it, because some of it could resonate if you've ever been, super sad, trying to mask that with, any of the forms of escapism that we kind of mentioned and touched on. I would say the beginning process of any kind of self-reflection or evaluation is usually steeped in cognitive dissonance, so your body's going to automatically reject anything that makes you take a closer look at the fundamental cores of your being. as a survival mechanism. So like as you start to kind of go through these things and think about loss and how you were and how you reacted to it, I think I would just want them to have what I found, which was some grace and forgiveness and some tenderness and empathy towards who I used to be, instead of it like there's a line in the third song it's like, I wonder if I'll know when the pain I've caused isn't all I am. And I wonder, I don't know how to stop feeling like a villain in my own story. And I think that was where a lot of people get stuck, is I am the worst person that's ever lived. And if only you knew who I was and what I've done, you would hate me, because I hate me. And I know what I've done. And like, so I would say, just some patience and some mercy while you're listening. If you start to feel anything, like, just be kind to yourself and remember that you were probably trying your best. And even if that's not who you want to be, like, you got to have a little bit of forgiveness. So I'd say that's going to be an important part of any emotionally exhausting journey. It's just patience. Know that things do get better, but they're not going to get better tomorrow. It's going to take some time, but tomorrow might be better than today. So,
definitely.
That'd be one of my perspective. Of course, Bree has a different perspective, but I mean, I'd say that's an important emotion to just remember when you're processing complicated emotional trauma. So,
yeah.
I would just simply, I would say that, I would hope people feel sort of like seen, I guess. My favorite artists are people who are super honest and make me feel a little less alone, or, a little bit understood at least. And, beyond just being like an angry teenager listening to, angry music, it's those artists who make you feel like you're not weird for feeling what you feel, and maybe a little validated almost. But that's what I would hope it would inspire, that people, no matter where they are in their journey, feel validated along it.
I'd agree with that. 100%. I think when we were writing this, it was like, what could I have used when I was 17? Because when we were younger, emo music kind of ended with everything is hopeless.
Yeah.
So who cares? Do whatever you want. Like, nothing matters. You're going to be forever. Like, my favorite album growing up was Still Searching by Senses Fail, which very much ends in the protagonist taking his own life because he can't deal with his mental health problems. And so I'm 18, learning that I'm bipolar, losing my mind, and like I love Senses Fail. But if there'd been someone who'd been like, but wait, it can get better, I think that would have helped a lot, where you can channel that pain and that rage and that sadness, but then you don't have to sit with it when you're done. Because you still have to sit with the emotionality of it, but you don't have to carry it all the time. You can let down your burden every once in a while and say, well, what if things, like, your brain's always saying, what if it doesn't work out? But every once in a while you can say, well, what if it did?
Yeah.
And I think that's important. So I think Bree touched that right on the head. We just want it to be accessible and just something that people can find a little bit of solace in, just a little bit of rest, maybe come out the other side going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do we got to do now?
Definitely.
So.
That's perfect. Ken, you guys are always good to talk to you. I don't know. This is good. This is really good.
You guys are great interviewers. So.
We're like talkative and sappy, so anytime someone wants us to talk, we're like, really? Okay.
Absolutely. We're down.
Yeah.
We're both parents, so anytime people are like, tell us what you know, instead of my 9-year-old being like, you don't know anything.
I know everything.
Yeah. The other day he's like, I'm gonna break dance in my talent show. I was like, you don't know how to break dance. And he's like, that's not important.
Exactly. Trust the process. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He's like, all I gotta learn is the one where you spin on your back really fast. And I was like,
Exactly.
yeah, that's the
Only that one.
It's easy.
Yeah.
sure,
Super
man. You got it. You got
You
it.
got-
So we
give him
love
15
talking to
minutes.
People who were like, yeah, now he's juggling soccer balls. So so it's fine. He'll
Oh.
figure it out.
So wait, so we moved on from breakdancing to now juggling?
Yeah, because he realized that he doesn't know how to break dance or know anyone who knows how to break dance, and doesn't want to learn. He just wanted to be able to do it, which I get.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
too much of his father. So,
that's fair.
I would say on another level too, like, I'm excited for him to listen to this when he's older. Like when he's like 18, 19, when, or a late teenager, to be able to be like, hey man, this is who I was. And these are the things that kind of got me to where I am. And everything I do is trying to be a better father for him. And so it's cool. And I'm sure Bree has that same feeling of one day being able to be like, hey, let's talk about what this is about. Let's talk about where we've been, and how, like, our entire intention with the band comes from, I think, being parents, of wanting to help people not make the same mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
When we know how the story ends, which is in pain. And so we want to be able to be like, wait. Okay, I know what you're about to do, but I've done it and it doesn't work. So let's skip that. Let's just skip that step altogether. So I think that's something else that, like, is super exciting about the album, is one day having this snapshot of my life and being like, this is right before things got better. And I think that's kind of a beautiful thing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Perfect. So what is your favorite memory that you guys made while creating this record?
We have something we can't talk about.
Okay, I'm gonna say that I think if we took a poll of the 386 of us in the band, that we would probably all agree mostly on Lake Minnehaha. It is a place. It's a trailer park near Gary, Indiana. That we spent a couple of nights while we were recording the album when we were finishing up. And
thought it was a lakeside cabin.
It was the tiniest cabin you've ever seen. All 7 of us had to sleep in there.
Wow.
This incredible family that owned like these double lots and had turned it into this like vacation paradise with like outdoor couches and stuff, took us in, fed us for like 2 days. And
A feast.
Like absolutely. And so we'd go to the studio and we'd come home and there'd be dinner ready, and they'd have drinks and music. They played Cliffdiver over their loudspeaker as loud as they possibly could. Everyone could hear with them probably a quarter mile. And then they had these golf carts and they'd take us to the beach and we played Frisbee. And it was a really difficult time because there were 7 of us. We were smashed in there. It was hot. There was, sharing showers, whatever. But the kind of the in-between, was so fortifying. And so like you kind of look around and realize that you feel safe, even though it was like this really crazy situation. I don't know why I'm crying. But like just looking around and being like, I feel safe right now. Like we're in this really crazy precarious situation, but we caught each other. And not only that, but there are always people who will catch you. And this big family who took us in and didn't know us and started blaring our, I want to say our crappy pop punk band, but not we're good. But our pop punk band, from Oklahoma over these loudspeakers, and we're so proud to know us like instantly and to feed us and take care of us. And those people exist and will carry you through and sort of inspires us to be that for other people. But I'd say that was my favorite, hands down, my favorite part. When we were out,
it was super special.
Yeah.
When we pulled up, they didn't know who we were. Like we were like pulling into all these different driveways and like, who are you? And we're like, oh, we're a band. We're just staying here. And by the time we got out of the van and we're like moving our stuff inside, that's when I looked at Matt and I was like, what is that song? And I was like, oh, is that our song? Where's that our song? And it was them, and they were blessed. They're like, you guys are in a band. And then like they took care of us. So that was a really special weekend. I'd say the other best time was there was a cool disc golf course like 15 minutes from the studio called Lemon Lake. They had like 5 disc golf courses on there. And so like we'd go to the studio all day and then we'd go play disc golf as a band. And it was a really cool course for one. And the people who worked there were really sweet and like gave us free food and like gave us discs and stuff. And like we thanked them in our album release. Like can't wait to go back through there so we can see them again at the Lemon Lake Flight Center. If you're in the greater Indiana, Chicago area, and looking for a challenging, they're not paying me to say this, by the way, but a challenging but fun adventure in the woods, stop by the Lemon Lake Pro Flight Center.
Hell
there
yeah.
you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah. I'm very happy to hear that you guys still had amazing times during the entire recording process. Just hearing what you guys were going through while you were writing it, while you were recording it. I'm just so happy to hear that you guys still had fun experiences that you could look back on and be like, wow, I'm so happy that happened. Wow, I'm so happy that family took us in with like open arms. It makes me happy. Yeah, it's good.
It is. It's like, but that's the thing is, you know, if you're training yourself to hold on to those things instead of disregarding them, because, you know, you get to a point sometimes where you can't even accept that kind of, you know, that kind of love or affection from somebody else. What is up with you? And, you know, and so I think there's that, you know, kind of like that point too, where you're so low that it's like, you'll take it from anybody. And that was us. And and those people will show up. And if you let them, you know, it was beautiful. It was so cool, Glory. Yeah. They were amazing. We still keep in touch with them. It's good. Cute.
Yeah. Nathan and Coco.
Shout out.
2 of them.
Oh yeah,
really sweet. There's a Mr. Rogers quote that says, like, in times of great panic, always look for the helpers because they're there if you choose to look for it. And I think that was it comes back up as a reminder of, like, even though we felt like everything at that exact moment we ended up in that trailer park was terrible. It's a whole complicated story, but basically it's like everything felt like it was falling apart. Yeah. And we were all freaked out. And then this family just showed us some kindness and loved on us and saved the band probably, you know, by just being good people. For no reason. They got nothing out of it. There was no reason for them to do it. But like they went out of their way and treated us, you know, with such kindness that it's still like, I get how Bree feels. It's like it's a moment of just like why are you doing this? And they're like, you guys look like you need some food. And we're like, we do need some food. We're so tired. you know, it was cool. It was really cool.
Hell yeah. Well, since we were on food,
we have moments like that. Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of food, that's a perfect segue into my next question. So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station, filling up, you know, you're gassing up the homies, and you're there for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
I like that little extra bit.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, okay. So, that's so rough. Okay, so I do love beef jerky, especially if we're at Buc-ee's, you know, because when it's like, it changes, right? Because if it's the first week of tour, then you're still thinking like, oh, I can get a big bag of nerd clusters and I want Zaps. That's my chip, you know. So like, but if you're at the end of tour, all I want is like a friggin' banana. I want something that was alive at one point, like actual food. Yeah. So I'm gonna say for me, it is probably beef jerky overall, because I will take that at any point.
Are you like black pepper, original, teriyaki, barbecue? What are we talking?
Teriyaki, a spicy, sweet, you know, kind of a and like thick.
Yes. Yeah. Taste. That's good.
That's me.
I would say for me, it all depends also on what part of tour it is, because that depends on how much money I have. Usually,
that makes sense.
I don't have much, and then it's like, what is the healthiest thing I can get for $1.75 at this gas station in rural Illinois? Like, is there something that has fruit, or is there a Cliff Bar of some kind that I can steel or something. Like you just become really like you're exhausted and you're just like, man, I'm so hungry, but I don't want to just eat another 10 cheeseburgers because then I'm gonna feel terrible and still be hungry.
You need to buy some emergency.
Yeah. But I would say if I have the money and I can just buy whatever I want, I'm just wandering in. Then usually it's probably Chex Mix and a yerba mate or Gatorade. That's my go-to. A little salty, a little sweet.
Of course. All right. And what flavor Chex Mix?
Original.
Original.
I tried the white cheddar the other day and it was terrible.
Have you tried the classic cheddar? Who has the white cheddar flavor?
It's new, and so I had to try it. It was not good. It's not good.
No.
It was not. It was like old cheddar. But like you should be able to taste that in a chip seasoning because it comes off super manufactured.
That's fucking gross.
I love the old hot and spicy, the original hot and spicy Chex Mix with the triangle, the nacho cheese triangle.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
Good.
Yeah,
so good. And they've never been able to replicate the seasoning blend. They tried to reintroduce it. You miss me on that fake seasoning. I'm out.
So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be?
Baked Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I will defend this.
Go for it.
I think, so baked Alaska, right? There's layers to it.
Of course.
Okay. It's sweet. I think we're naturally, we're not perfect people and we're not always nice, but we're always sweet. I don't know how else to put that, but I feel like maybe it's just like the Oklahoma in us, but I feel like everyone in the band's really sweet.
Yeah.
So I would say we have to be a dessert because of that, because the boys are so sweet. And there's like layers to it, but then you got like a little bit of everything, and then it's literally on fire. It is a ridiculous, like both sides of the spectrum. It is not scared to surprise you.
Yeah.
And it's very dynamic. So
it's a great answer.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
I'd say we'd be like a 7-course tasting menu at a fancy restaurant where it's like we're all individual and we all serve different purposes, but there's some thematic elements that tie them together. So if you go to a real nice restaurant and you're like, oh, these are all based on waterfowl or something. You're like, oh, interesting. This has duck confit mixed in. Well, they're not the same. They all kind of come together to make one coherent dish due to the things that unite us, not the things that make us separate, but the things that are different about us. And I don't know why I was doing the Illuminati triangle right here. Just people, now that we're signed, I just had to
gotta come out and say,
get in a quick hail, the golden order. No, I'm just kidding.
Of course. Welcome to the club, guys.
Yeah, thank you. We're so happy to be here. I missed the Illuminati meeting this morning, but if you can just send me over the notes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I recorded it, so I'll send it over.
Yeah, but I'd say that's where we are. We're it seems extravagant at times. It might seem excessive at times, but I think with the right tact, it can be exactly what you hope for it to be, and it can be a beautiful emotional thing because food can tell a story too. So
I like that.
Bree put a lot of thought into the individual dish, and I love that because she nailed it. Mine's more of an overarching thematic metaphor, so we did it together.
Hell yeah!
Both do great.
People.
Exactly. Yep.
So for the last couple
questions,
fans
understood that. Like you don't lose power, you gain power.
Exactly.
Two heads, smart.
Exactly.
So much more brain power. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Okay. I want to be a cat. I'm just, a lot of people who know me say I'm very cat-like. I don't know what that means, but that's what I'd want to do. Like cuddles kind of like on my terms, but also like very independent and like, you know, cats seem to like get to do pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I'm like not a bad cat, just a like a spoiled one,
Mm-hmm.
a house cat,
Yeah.
big house, pretty one with a pool.
You know, everybody wants to be a cat. According to the 1967 smash hit by Disney, The Aristocats.
Oh,
So I agree with that. No, but I think I'd be a bird. I'd be a bird. I want to fly. I want to do the eagle or the falcon thing where you dive at 200 miles an hour. I think that's
pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Be pretty sad.
Just be fast and be like, I'm just gonna be a bird. I'm tired of this stuff. I'm gonna go fly away now. That would be nice. Just being like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm out, and then just fly away. I think that'd be sick.
That would be
like, hey, you know what? I'm done here. I'm out
Yes.
of here, and then I just like, I'm out of here.
You're just gone.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. It would get rid of most of my social anxiety. I feel like if I could just be like, I'm out and just fly away.
Yeah,
You
I
have
agree.
a point.
Yeah.
You have a point. Yeah, I think I want to be
But
a
see,
bird too.
I'm also torn. Have you guys ever read Animorphs? Because it's really traumatic about thinking about being stuck as a bird for the rest of your life. Like,
Is
I've read
Animorphs the one
Animorphs.
with that meme with the girl turning into like a rat?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's about aliens that gave you the ability to turn into animals, but if you stayed as the animals for longer than 3 hours, you were stuck as them for life.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, 3 hours?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all you have.
Not
You
like
don't get out,
12?
you're stuck.
Wow.
Nope, 3. You have 3 hours. Hopefully, you're not flying when it happened. Well, then you just remain a bird forever. I guess that's better than turning back into a human while you're flying.
Yeah, mid-flight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those
Well-
are my thoughts.
Okay.
Nice.
Right. Perfect. So, if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Joey.
Probably Max Bemis from Say Anything.
Mm.
Just because I want to talk to him about kind of what his process was with, because we share a lot of the same like diagnoses and stuff like that. And he was a huge influence on me when it came to being honest about mental health and lyrics and stuff like that. So I just want to hang out with them and see if he wants to sing "Whoa" with me. I'll bring my guitar and be like, "How fun! I just have this guitar here." Like,
Whoa,
So
where'd that
it'd
come
be
from?
crazy if we
Yeah.
the word, and then I'd hope he would just join in.
Yeah.
And be
Yeah.
like,
If he didn't, that'd be kind of awkward.
Yeah.
exactly. And then we'd
Yeah.
form a duo and
Mhm.
be best friends.
Oh,
So
That's a great plan.
that's my lunch.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a good
that's
lunch. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I feel like I'm torn, but I'm gonna go with probably like Lauryn Hill, because like I feel like she would say a bunch of things I don't understand, and I would just like cry, but I'd understand later,
Mhm.
you know. And maybe she'd be a little mean, I don't know, but I'd want to hear everything that she'd have to say, and I think she's just like somebody that I like. I don't know. I respect her so much, and I think she's so crazy talented and
Mhm.
funny, and like I mean, just like funny as a person and as
Yeah.
a figure. Like she's just kind of a funny figure as far as like pop culture and the evolution of kind of like hip hop goes, and even the exploration of a lot of genre bending she did that I
Mhm.
don't think it's talked about, and so I would definitely want to hang out with that one.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Lauryn Hill's such a good pick. I don't think we've gotten that one yet. We've only asked this question like 15 times. Maybe that's a stretch, but like Lauryn Hill's got to be my favorite one now.
Man, I can't.
I'm
even
gonna change my answer.
No, sorry.
No.
Well, I mean,
I'm choosing 1997 Brad Pitt.
Oh God.
okay, well,
Doing it.
I'm changing mine to Pauly Shore.
Okay, that's real abrupt. Just current Pauly Shore or
I
like
don't
old
know.
Because I
I
went
just
back
thought
in
we were
time.
going to change our answers back and forth for a little while. I
Okay.
had
Yeah,
things-
I'm changing mine to Abraham Lincoln.
I'm
Ugh.
changing the
Not
fucking
fair.
question.
We're like, Cat, you gotta rein us in. We've been over this. Cat's
Uh,
bird.
So for this last question, and boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
Okay.
Kid Bop 3.
Oh,
for sure.
all right. Which
No,
one
Bree
does
can
that
go
have?
first. I gotta think. It
I am
has
bringing-
Blue.
the Vanilla Sky soundtrack as my
Mhm.
album. The person I'm bringing is my best friend, Samantha.
Mhm.
She's awesome and like my right arm. And then the movie that I'm going to bring is probably the movie I've seen the most that I probably would rewatch forever for the rest of my life is Boondock Saints. Don't read me for it. I don't want to hear it. But that movie is probably the one I'd bring so I could just comfort watch it for the rest of my life.
Okay. All right.
I have 4 copies
Sorry
of it
for the
over on
glitch.
my DVD case, so don't judge me either. It's a great film. Those are great answers, Briana. I think I would choose for the album. I would choose, I think, the original London cast recording of Phantom of the Opera. Just because that was like one of the first albums that like blew my mind. I was like 5 or 6, and my parents went and saw in Dallas, and my dad like had never seen a play, but he grew up really poor in Detroit, and he'd never seen a big musical before. And he came back, and it was just like it blew his mind. So we'd ride around the car, and he would tell us the story, like what was happening during different parts of the songs, and like that kind of brought my love for wanting to be a performer. That's where it all comes from, is that album, and I could listen to it every day. And be pretty happy. I feel like just because I either that or Where You Want to Be by Taking Back Sunday, but I think I'd go with Phantom of the Opera. And then for movie, Oh Brother Where Art Thou? I think probably.
Okay.
I could probably watch that every day for the rest of my life and not be upset. I think that would probably be the movie. And then for person, my 9-year-old son, because
that's awesome.
He's my best friend. And if my girlfriend's watching this, you would be the second choice. I would make
number 2 to the kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Caitlin, you get it. I think
exactly.
If you're watching this.
Well,
definitely Dallas.
All right. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Tickets are on sale for our tour. We're going to the East Coast for the first time. Playing Philly and DC and Connecticut and Brooklyn and Atlanta, all over the place. That's all on our Instagram or Twitter. You can find all the dates and where you can buy tickets. So I'd say buy those. Do that if you want. That'd be cool. Unplug that. Bree, what about you?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're going on tour. Wear a mask. Come say hey. We also we're going to be announcing some fundraising opportunities with our merch coming up, so keep an eye out with that, and partnering with some nonprofits and getting to make some announcements for some partnerships with that. So kind of just keeping an eye up on our socials for that coming up.
Oh yeah. All right.
Come to Virginia. You guys are going everywhere but Virginia on your tour, and
we're coming right by Virginia, but we'll come to Virginia.
We're driving through Virginia.
You're just
Virginia.
Make a stop and like play in my backyard, my roof, my deck.
We have the day off. Virginia is like halfway. We could talk about that.
Yeah, hit us up. We'll come play on your deck.
I bet.
All right.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Catch Cliffdiver this summer.
The only thing I'd plug would be there's one more thing I'd plug that you're doing a great job, and that this is a great podcast, and I've watched a ton of episodes, and I really think y'all's passion for the scene and for the things that go into the albums is incredibly important. And I think that the two of you have done a fantastic job in spreading awareness for new artists and for kind of pushing the scene into feeling more like a unified collection of people. And I think it's really beautiful what you guys do, and I'm really proud of you guys. So I'd plug the Good Noise cast as well.
We appreciate it.
Is it your goal for every interview to make me cry? I'm sorry, Bree.
No, I never want to make people cry. I cry a lot. Like when fans tell us things, and they're like, here's a super emotional thing that happened to me. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, I was the one who had cancer. Why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. So I love you. And I'm just hugging people. I get you, Glory. We're empathetic criers. We love people. We just love people. We love to see people happy.
Hell
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why you're so great at what you do. You're awesome. So are you, Shake.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for now. This guy's been Cliffdiver, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.